Today on Don't Talk TV, we're going to go south of the border and look at a high-profile case that's been covered widely in mainstream media, that of Kyle Rittenhouse in Kenosha, Wisconsin. And I want to take a look at some of the interesting and frankly astounding things that have happened in that case over the past couple of weeks. Hello, my name is Nicholas Wansbutter. I'm a criminal defense lawyer in Stratford, Ontario, Canada, and welcome to Don't Talk TV. Viewers of Don't Talk TV may have heard about the case of Kyle Rittenhouse back when it first happened. On the 25th of August 2020, Mr. Rittenhouse, who was 17 years old at that time, was in Kenosha, Wisconsin, a city that had been literally burning for days without any intervention by the state. He was attacked when he was there. He was armed with an AR-15. Defended himself. In my view, it was clearly self-defense, and is now charged with 2 counts of murder and then 1 count involving an individual who is seriously wounded. Now, if viewers are interested, this case has been all over the media. It was filmed from multiple different angles, so I could do an analysis of the self-defense aspect. I've already spoiled the ending of that video by telling you that in my view it's clearly self-defense, but if you're interested, leave a comment in the comment section below and I'll look into doing an analysis. But for today's purposes, I want to look at the trial. But before we launch into some of the things that have been happening in and around the trial that I want to talk about, I think it's important to put this case in its proper context. Some people have said to me words to the effect of, well, this is because of the American Second Amendment, this happened. If people weren't allowed to be walking around carrying firearms, this wouldn't have happened, or this sort of confrontation is inevitable when you have people openly armed. I would suggest that this has little to do with the Second Amendment. I mean, the Second Amendment is the only reason why Kyle Rittenhouse is still alive, in fact. What this is really about is, as I said, the fact that Kenosha, Wisconsin was left to burn for days by rioters and looters, by the police, by the state. The police didn't move in, the military didn't move in, and eventually concerned citizens moved in to defend their own properties. This shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. It's natural for people to want to defend their property, defend their own lives when their city is literally burning to the ground. So it was in that context that Mr. Rittenhouse went, and fortunately in the United States, you are allowed to defend yourself. Well, you're allowed to defend yourself in Canada, but in the United States, you're allowed to preemptively arm yourself to prevent yourself being killed. And as I said, Mr. Rittenhouse was attacked, and now he's on trial for murder. Now, one of the things that I think is really important to look at in this case is the level of juror intimidation and attempted intimidation of the judge that's gone on. And what I find remarkable about it is thinking about what would be the consequences if roles were reversed. What if it wasn't Black Lives Matter supporters who are trying to intimidate the jury and trying to intimidate the judge? What if it was some kind of white supremacist or some kind of conservative group? I'd be willing to guarantee you that the FBI would be kicking down doors all across the country and arresting people for this, but we haven't seen that. But let's take a look at a clip from a man who claims to be a cousin of George Floyd and what they're doing to try to intimidate jurors.
I ain't even gonna name the people that I know that's up in the Kenosha trial. But there's cameras in there. It's definitely cameras up in there, and there's definitely people taking pictures of the juries and everything like that. We know what's going on. So we need the same results, man. We need the same results.
So you can see they're trying to film the jurors. Now, apparently, these individuals were arrested and their film taken, but in an age of the cloud and Wi-Fi and internet, it's not like the state can just pull the film out of the camera, hold it up to the light, and it's destroyed and no one else has seen it. These videos have likely already been sent. So, I mean, this is a huge concern. How can one have a fair trial when a segment of society are given almost free rein to intimidate the jury? And that's to say nothing of the broader intimidation that's going on with all the threatened riots and the fact that the governor of Wisconsin has had to call out the National Guard in anticipation of riots erupting if the acceptable verdict is not reached. And we all know that the acceptable verdict would only be conviction. If Mr. Rittenhouse is acquitted, that's when the National Guard are going to have to move in. The National Guard won't be needed to protect anything if Mr. Rittenhouse is convicted. Now, beyond that, something that's made a lot of news have been some dramatic exchanges that have gone on between the judge and the prosecutor, and I find these just absolutely astounding. I could probably give you hours worth of clips. I'm going to just give you a couple to give you a flavor, but I've never seen a prosecutor in my career giving this kind of attitude and disrespect to a judge. Now, as we'll see in a moment, the mainstream media is taking the judge's reaction saying he's biased, but frankly, when you see the way this prosecutor is behaving towards the judge, it's little wonder that the judge is getting upset with him.
Your Honor, Mr. Binger is either forgetting the court's rulings or attempting to provoke a mistrial in this matter. He knows he can't go into this, and he's asking the questions. I asked the court to strongly admonish him, and the next time it happens, I'll be asking for a mistrial with prejudice. He's an experienced attorney, and he knows better.
Mr. Binger?
First of all, Your Honor, this was the subject of a motion. I'm well aware of that. And the court left the door open.
For me, not for you.
My understanding of
You should have come and asked for reconsideration. You did on the one motion, and in fact, I granted your motion. Why would you think that that made it okay for you, without any advance notice, to bring this matter before the jury? I was astonished when you began your examination by commenting on the defendant's post-arrest silence. That's basic law. It's been basic law in this country for 40 years, 50 years. I have no idea why you would do something like that. And it gives, well, I'll leave it at that. So I don't know what you're up to.
May I respond?
Yes.
He's acknowledged that he told the person in the yellow pants, yeah, you're right. I did point a gun at you when you were sitting on a car.
He said, I did. That's what he
Exactly.
testified.
So he's agreeing. May I finish, please? I'd like to have a chance to make a record if I could, without being interrupted, if that's okay. You know, it's interesting, Your Honor, because the entire defense theory in this case is Joseph Rosenbaum, who was unarmed.
I want you to tell me what the defense theory of the case is. May I
respond to what you just said, Your Honor? I'd like to respond to what you just said. I apologize, Madam Court Reporter, but I'd like to try and make a record without anyone interrupting me, if that's okay.
I said I had heard nothing in this trial to change any of my rulings.
So why
testimony,
Your Honor?
Pardon me?
That was before the
Don't
defense testimony.
get brazen with me. You knew very well. You know very well that an attorney can't go into these types of areas when the judge has already ruled without asking outside the presence of the jury to do so. So don't give me that.
So again, to me, this behavior of the prosecutor is absolutely staggering, and I can't help but wonder, as the defense counsel opined in court, is he purposely trying to cause a mistrial because he sees his case going south? It's possible because, as I've already said earlier, in my view, it's clearly a self-defense case, and no surprise, the evidence seems to be playing out that way. Now, granted, I haven't been able to watch every moment. Actually, I haven't been able to watch a lot of it. I'm relying a bit on my staff, but you can certainly watch it for yourself. I'll leave some links in the comments section below if you're interested in watching the case to see whether you feel that I'm being fair in my assessment or not. And if you think I'm wrong, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section. But that leads me to my final point, the mainstream media reaction to this. I mean, look at this clip right here.
Let's talk more about this, Judge, because I'm following loosely this trial, but everything I hear about this judge just sort of has planted the seed in my head that this trial is, sorry to use the word, rigged. That the instructions of the judge is making it pretty much impossible for the jury to actually consider all the facts and come up with a verdict where justice will be served. Or am I way out there in what I just said?
Not at all, Jonathan. I understand your concerns. Remember,
I mean, the media seems to be setting the stage of, if there's an acquittal, it's because of a corrupt MAGA judge. MAGA as in Make America Great Again. I've seen some allegations that he's a Trump supporter. Maybe is, maybe isn't. To me, these accusations are absolutely incredible. I mean, if one actually looks at the behavior of the prosecutor, of course the judge is going to be upset. I frankly can't believe that the judge didn't cite him for contempt. I should back that up. I do believe that the judge hasn't cited him for contempt, and this is exactly why, to avoid these sorts of accusations that he's being biased, he's giving the prosecutor every opportunity to rein himself in and behave in a composed and ethical manner. And I suspect that's why the judge is going to avoid at all possible ordering a mistrial, because if he does, then he'll be attacked of, oh, he's corrupt, he did this just to save Rittenhouse. So it's really disappointing to see the media being so partisan and giving such opinions, but unfortunately this is what we come to expect in 2021. I point all of this out to show you in the context that, in my view, the media is actually telling you opposite of what's going on in this case. The case seems to be another example of the American justice system functioning really the way it should, where people are given a fair trial when they're accused of a crime. And I would suggest that the Canadian justice system, when it comes to criminal matters, generally operates in the same fashion as a relatively fair system. So this video isn't legal advice. If you need legal advice, you should call a lawyer. And again, as I've said for a number of episodes now, I unfortunately cannot take on new clients right now, but if you're watching this video sometime in 2022 or 2023, hopefully I am, you can call my office. My number and website are listed below, see whether I'm available, and if I am, I'd be happy to help. If there's shows, topics that you'd like to see me cover, please send an email to the email address listed below, or leave a comment in the comment section. I'll do my best to make a video addressing the question that you've raised. And if you found this video at all interesting, helpful, or informative, please consider liking, sharing, subscribing, and following us on social media. And please remember, if you're watching us on YouTube, that you can also subscribe on Rumble and Odyssey to ensure uninterrupted access.